Well, welcome everybody to join us this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Cecelia Hobbs, and thanks to Bill Nates who connected me a couple of years ago back on the Poor People's Campaign. I had the opportunity to get to know Celia not only through uh, Poor People's Campaign, but she was also at our mission when we were down into Alabama, and I got to know her
Yes.
even more there. So, just a quick scenario here is that Cecilia has been working with the Delaware Poor People's Campaign for a number of years. And Delaware's campaign is tied in with a number of 39 other states that are really active in really kind of meeting local election opportunities and officials to really help abolish some of the poverty that's been going on in the number of years in past years. So it's my pleasure again to just introduce Cecilia, and she'll give us a good background on what she's been doing over the last number of years. Take
Okay. I guess so. Am I spotlighted now or?
You are spotlighted.
Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be with you all and to um, just give you some information about the Delaware Poor People's Campaign. As Mike stated, we are in over 30 plus states. So we have committees doing this throughout, whether it's to have their coordinating committee meetings and plan or to get out there from national lead and do some events, which I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of this year. So I just really started giving you information from last year because last year was very busy for us. But know that the Poor People's Campaign is a national call for moral revival, mapping and mobilizations toward simultaneous mass poor people and low-wage workers state house assemblies and to the polls. We had a big event on March the 2nd, where each state went to their state house and did the mass assembly. We initially wanted to do it down, outside at the Capitol, but because of weather conditions, we had our backup plan and we end up doing it indoors. So it's always good to pre-plan. So the first question is always why, right? Why this action? Why now? Why the urgency? And we do it from the Poor People's Campaign standpoint because there are 140 million poor and low wealth people in this country, and 800 people die a day from poverty and low income. This includes 60% or 24 million Black people, 64% or 38 million Hispanic or Latino people, 40%, 8 million Asian people, 60%, 2 million of Indigenous people, and 33% or 66 million of white people. And that's quite significant. That's a lot of people. So between 2018 and I'm sorry, this part is smaller, but between 2018 and 2020, there were 374,000 Delaware residents that were poor or low income, accounting for 38.2% of the state's population. In 2021, 188,000 children received the Hispanic Child Tax Credit, and 48,000 low-wage workers received the Hispanic Earned Income Tax Credit. Since these pandemic programs have expired, poverty has been on the rise, proving that poverty is a policy choice. And we know it doesn't have to be that way. So that's why we're building a movement to change our state and this country. We always said poverty equals death because it is the fourth leading cause of death. Politicians who continue to make concessions for the wealthy, and definitely that's going on now, right? Oh my goodness. Yet, and they leave families and children to die in poverty are guilty of policy murder. People are dying every day from lack of access to health care. Between April 2023 and March 2024, an estimated 15 to 8 million people, including 5 million children, are expected to lose Medicaid access within a federal public health emergency. And is all this resonating that this is still going on, right? Under this current administration, these numbers are going to get so much worse. So 57,600 people are expected to lose Medicaid by March 2024 due to the end of the pandemic protections. Delaware's average life expectancy dropped by 1.4 years between 2019 and 2020 during the peak of the pandemic. There were 50, and I need to put my glasses on now because that's smaller print, sorry. There were 55,700 people who were uninsured. And that's always a big issue, even now. So we need living wages because, well, let alone inflation and everything else is going on. But during the pandemic, billionaire wealth increased by 1.5 trillion or more than 2 billion per day. Currently, there are 50, and this is 2024 I'm talking about. It's not going to account for all that's going to go on in 2025 and in billionaires' greed that's even worse than it was in 2024. But currently there are 52 million people across the US who make less than a living wage. And I updated this because in 2024 the minimum wage in Delaware was what, like 13.25, but they finally went to $15. But even that's not enough for, a family of four. We have that to meet the basic need, two adults with two children need to earn over $24 an hour. But with a state minimum of $15 an hour, they must work 89 hours a week. When are they going to have family time? That takes away from all of that and just cause more problems, as far as our family unit and the importance of having families together. And this is just to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment. Um, t- we had 29 of the state's workforce earn less than 15 because, as I said, it was 13.25 an hour in 2024, and 30,257 households were behind on rent and housing payments at the beginning of 2023. In 2021, all Republicans and 8 Senate Democrats blocked the increase in the federal minimum wage to 15, leaving it at 7.25. But that again, that was those numbers had been adjusted. But even for the $15 an hour, we had a few of our senators that blocked that. I had the names of them, but I don't know if it's proper to reveal them, so I'm going to leave that alone. Um, but since 2017, Republican tax cuts, the 748 U.S. billionaires are 2.2 trillion richer. So voting rights are under attack, right? So at the same time that there are 85 million poor and low wealth eligible voters across the country, we are seeing unprecedented waves of voter suppression, including gerrymandering, extreme voter ID laws, and mail-in voting restrictions. Since 2020, there have been and I cut that off. I apologize for my screen. I did not do PowerPoint like I should have, but I know that there's over 1,000 voter suppression bills introduced across 50 states. 80 of those bills have been enacted. Why is it easier to get a gun than it is to vote? When we know that Delaware is home to 246 poor and low income eligible voters that make up 28% of the electorate. And that's why the Poor People's Campaign in 30 plus states went out prior to the last election and we had boots on the ground, did a lot of door knocking, the Poor People Campaign is really good with giving us the areas of where poor, low, infrequent voters are. So we went into those areas and we did a lot of discussions, educating people. And this is, powerful because you get a lot of information from people too. You hear some say, "Well, I'm not going to vote for either one because I don't trust the, election anyway," or that we struggle sometimes with using the word poor people because poor that people don't want to hear that they're poor, right? That's can be very offensive. Um, and I'm sitting back and I think those same people are probably, who thought that they were doing well or okay, just getting by, are going to be so affected with this current administration because so many things are being cut. But if poor and um, low income eligible voters went to the polls at the same rate as the higher um, income voters, that would sway the power and the outcomes in every state. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to continue to, um, make this an issue of the importance of voting. We want to wake, we want to begin awakening the power of the people. If we organize and mobilize 140 million poor and low wealth people of every race, creed, and religion, in every region of this country for a movement that votes, we will have the political power to shift the elections up and down the ballot, waking that sleeping giant for poor and low wealth eligible voters. We always say hate will not win. We have the power to dismantle the hate, the racism, the homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia coming from extremists. Simultaneous action means that we take back the mic, and we do that. We have our big uh, uh, rally in DC every year, usually around June. We have buses leaving from all three counties that the Poor People Campaign paid for. So it doesn't cost anyone to get on our buses. We provide lunches because the event's long enough where you have to eat too. And if we're trying to attract poor, low wage people, then we're going to offer free ride with food along. So we love to get as many people out as possible. We have press conference. We invite our elected officials. Do they show up? Absolutely not. But we make sure the press know that they were invited. And, we still speak to the issues from the Poor People's Campaign. So we just take back the mic to shift the narrative around our issues, building the power and hope that moves us forward together, not one step back. And why is this urgent to you, your community, your organization? Again, back in February, that's when we had our press conference. So states met with their state elected leadership on both sides of the aisle. We announced a 40-week action plan. Also encouraged folks in the Poor People Campaign partners to put on small press conference in their communities across the states to encourage their people to be a part of the state house action and waking the sleeping giant. Faith leaders is very important to the Poor People's Campaign. Every committee their goal is to have at least 10 clergies on the coordinating committee. We're short of that. We're still working on that. Some states have all 10, but the clergies and the those that are affected by all these things that I went through, and advocates are very important. So we like to have them present. And when I said them, I'm talking about those that are affected by all those issues that I presented. Have them tell their stories. And this even goes to the unhoused people, because we know what's going on with them too. And that number is rising tremendously as well. It is out of control. I just read an article that even back in 2024, even New Jersey had an increase of 24% in their unhoused people. Delaware is no different. Every state is seeing an increase in that, and we know that's going to get so much worse as well. Um, so in March, we did a national coordinated simultaneous state house assembly across the country. Um, on March 4th, we did a diverse state delegation delivery of our demands to every door to our elected officials in the state house. So we physically went down there and delivered envelopes to all of our officials, telling them about the poor people's campaign demands and asking them to respond. How, what are their thoughts on helping people? So again, I told you in February we did that virtual press conference. Um, we did on March 2nd, we did a simultaneous state assembly across the country, and that was every state that's involved in the Poor People's Campaign. We end up doing it indoors, like I said, United Methodist Church in Dover. And then partnership, we're always looking for partnership. We partners with the Poor People Campaign Low Wage Workers State House Assembly and to the polls are asked to, we ask them to send letters to represent their organization to stand with us and speak at one of our press conferences in February the 20th. We wanted to know if the organization will be working to organize and mobilize to our March 2nd event back then and beyond. So this is beyond, this is even going into this year. And we asked them to set a goal, how many of the members can turn out to our mass assembly that took place in June. Um, and we asked if there was any resources that they could share, transportation funding, etc., and to send our logo so that we can add it to our promotional materials. So let's take back the mic, raise our voices, and register our votes as demands. Our next steps, we're currently meeting right now just once a month because, like I said, we have our national call on February the 12th, and they'll guide us more that we're more actionable out there in the community. So right now we're in base building season. So we're trying to build our base. And um, I could even ask even now, before our question and answer session, if anyone is interested in joining the Delaware Poor People Campaign, please do, because you can take part in being on the committee where you're helping to drive the decision and actions that we're going to take on a larger scale with over 1,000 members in the base, or you could just become a part of base and just receive information when the events are happening. If you're interested, you can email me at Delaware at poorpeoplescampaign.org. I have the email set up just for the Poor People's Campaign. That's Delaware at poorpeoplescampaign.org. Because we want to build our base as much as possible. Because again, we're going to see so much more. Things are going to get so much worse, and we need action. We need to be on the offense, right? So right now, our focus will be on educating low, poor wage, and frequent voters on the importance of their voice and their vote. We know that uh, no one really takes the time to listen to them. They really want to be heard and to know that their voice is just as important as anyone else. So when you sit down and listen to them, let them tell their stories. Let them know that they're part of a larger piece of they're a small part of a larger piece of the pie, and that by going with us down to DC, whatever the stories that they're telling us, they are going to hear them over and over again because there's so many people that can, verbalize the same story that they have. So unhoused people in our communities are not aware of that they can vote, right? So this is something we're educating them about as well. We have materials from the Poor People Campaign where we can either, we educate them on um, uh, letting, how they can vote, and at the same time, we can register them, at the same time as well. So no one, I already said that, no one's listened to them. We will meet them where they are, shelters, streets, libraries, to name a few. As you may know, Sam has a big population of unhoused people there. And I'm a member of Sam's church. So I go there, I see them, I participate in the Cold Purple to help feed them. But we're going to also start using this opportunity to sit down and talk to them because that's an opportunity to get to so many people and, other unhoused people in libraries and on the streets. So we want to continue to partner with other organizations who are fighting for social injustice, and that brought me to this meeting. I thank you for allowing me to share that information. And at this time, I am open to questions or questions that I hopefully I can provide the answers for you on.
Thank you, Cecilia. Mike, you want to manage the hands raised?
Sure. Sally, go ahead.
Thank you so much for this presentation, Cecilia.
You're welcome.
And I'm wondering for folks who are unhoused, do they have any ID issues for voting?
No, like I know at Sam, um, who's also connected with the Friendship House, they have a community center there to help them with ID too. So they made sure that they get IDs as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a very good question.
My limited experience with the low wage folks was at the Hope Center,
Hmm.
and we went down there several evenings around dinner time and set up some tables and asked them to if they were registered and so forth, and we went through the drill. Coming home with a friend of mine and a member of the Poor People's Campaign, I said, well, why wasn't there more enthusiasm for voting? Why did people kind of just mumble and ignore us and go on in to eat dinner? And he said, when you're homeless, you have a lot of issues on your mind. And voting and getting out to vote is not one of the top 5 issues on their mind. They're they're more trying to get out of the Hope Center. They're more trying to figure out how they're going to feed their children and their families. And so a lot of the barriers seem that we had, I guess, was the fact that there's a lot of problems out there, and those folks have a lot of problems,
Yes.
and they just voting and listening to a couple old white guys sitting down there in the Hope Center is not real top priority. So there's a struggle in getting folks' attention.
Well, and Bill, that's a very good point. So, you know, unfortunately, my goodness, like I said, this year is going to be so much worse, right? The next 4 years is going to be so much worse. And I am looking at tackling this. Like you said, they're sitting down there eating. Sam's doing the cool purple. First and Central's doing it as well, getting them out in the cold weather, feeding them. They're just all sitting around with nothing to do, but to eat, and maybe they're chatting among each other, but they see each other every day. So to take this opportunity and provide something different for them and let them know that even the social programs or shelters is under attack. A lot is uh not going to be there for them if we don't stand up as a group of people, because the strength of our numbers, right? And we need them as part of our numbers. So we got to, just inform them of the urgency. This is an urgent matter that we unite and come together to again play offense. We're going on offense. So we need them to know that they are not alone, that there's a lot of people out there like them, but not voting is a continued vote for the wrong person. We have to continue to keep pushing and educating them. So you are right. And I thank you and Robert for, the trips y'all took to the Hope House. I remember those challenges, but I'm just, for me from my standpoint, I'm going to use this opportunity that I know they're present under Code Purple. They're in the libraries. They don't have anything to do. That they will listen and understand the sense of urgency that is needed for them to vote and become interested in voting. Because even I think we have an election coming up soon, right? And a lot of people don't vote on those short elections. Most people vote on the big main ones, and that's in District 1 and 5. And tell you the truth, I don't even know what district I'm in. Yeah. Bill, what district are we in? Because you live close to you just, are we in District 2? What are we in? Um,
I'm in District 5. I'm not sure about you.
oh, well, we don't live far from each other. You might,
No, we don't.
so maybe. But anyway, just think about it. Every time there's an election, I don't care if it's a big one or a small one, it affects everyone if the wrong people get into those positions, correct? So we just have to educate until we're blue in the face, which will be hard with my skin tone, but until we're blue in the face, and just continue to pound at them and let them know we have their best interests at heart because we're all going to be affected by Project 2025 and, you know, other things that are just coming at us so fast that you don't even have time to think about one bad thing happening before there's others going on. So we're going to keep pushing. We are not going to give up because you think about back in the civil rights movement, right? And even with the late and great John Lewis, how he had to go over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which, Mike and I had a chance to do that as well.
Mhm.
They, yeah, some of them died, they were blooded, but they did not give up. And unfortunately, that was gutted again too, right? So do all this work, we keep going backwards. And that's what I loved about Kamala Harris. One of her speeches, she said, we are not going back. But look how fast we're going back already under this current administration. We are going back already, and it's just going to get so much worse. But we have the power to halt that and to let them know we're going to be out there. We're not going to give up. We're going to continue to gather people and organize to let them know that we're not taking this. That this is unacceptable. So thank you.
Cecilia, can you say a word or two about the event in Rodney Square? I think it's on Saturday.
Yeah, so on Saturday, it's let's see, Stand Up to Project 2025 rally. And it's at 11 a.m., I believe, to 12. I think it's only for an hour. Um, they'll be down there, and they'll have different speakers, probably no more than five. And I'm one of them, I'm gonna always speak when I get the opportunity to speak. So um it's Working Families, I believe, is sponsoring this. Yeah, that's where the email came from. Carl, yeah, Cheyenne Miller, y'all may know her. They're big on getting events going as well. So if anyone can make it, like again, the power are in the numbers. It's peaceful. They're nonpartisan. Poor People's Campaign is nonpartisan. I'm sure this group is nonpartisan, correct? Because we want to elect people that support our issues. It's not about Democrat or Republican. Who's on board with us and that fighting for social injustice that we're seeing. So I think the opportunity to go to Rodney Square is huge. If any of you can make it.
Cecilia, you talked a lot about, voting and, the down, the problems of just feeding people that are in these areas. As a group that meets on a monthly basis, what are some of the things that we as individuals who can participate and help with not only putting together the information about voting and how we can help individuals, um,
Yeah.
how can we kind of get involved on your monthly type projects so we can kind of get a learning perspective and then start being more active?
Oh, okay. Well, the monthly aspect of it is just the meetings, but the actual action items going there to meet them where they are, they're there 7 days a week, down at Sam's in the libraries in those areas that I was talking about. So it's an opportunity, for any day of the week. You say, okay, I have these, a couple free hours. Let me go down to Sam's. Let me go to First and Central and just talk to, some of these people. If you need, you can, I guess for me, like I share information about the Poor People's Campaign, but you can share information about your organization, and why voting is important to you or your organization. If you do not have like forms to register them or, to get them, then I could share that with the group, I mean, with you, and you could share it out to the group as well. But, um, like I know y'all are for, social injustice too, but I don't know what y'all really do in your group collectively. I guess to kind of answer that question definitively.
Well, I mean, we're out there with a number of partnerships, talking about voting, talking about racial justice, social issues,
Hmm.
healthcare. There's a number of issues that we are opening up
Good.
to get more people educated, so we
Yes.
can help individuals that need it that way. So there's a
Okay.
lot of topics and things like that, but this is obviously one that Bill Nace and myself have gotten involved in over the last few years, and want to
Hmm.
continue to help with that voting process and getting more people involved.
Good.
And maybe
Okay.
another thought, I mean, you may know, Cecilia, that Westminster Church was one of the founding groups of Code Purple, working with Friendship House. So Westminster's been involved in that from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And indeed, there's even a summer program where we seek to provide people cool spaces that they can
Yes.
go to when it gets so terribly, terribly hot. And
Mhm.
so it might be useful for us to spend a few minutes with the regular volunteers that
Hmm.
we have from Westminster who go to Code Purple to say
Yes.
that it would be helpful that, they'll have conversations. Sometimes they play games,
Hmm.
they get involved, but to make them aware of the priorities of the Poor People's Campaign, talking about voting, talking
Yes.
about initiatives for housing, and
Hmm.
use the opportunity since they're already there.
Yes.
It would engage more people in that conversation. So I would think that would be something pretty easy for us to ask our volunteers to
Yes.
engage with the folks who come in out of the cold. Um,
Yes.
and we've had some wicked awful cold days here lately.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness. I know. Like Westminster. I'm sure y'all saw Sam saw a rise in the number of people that's coming. I mean, some
sure.
nights it can be up to 80 to 100 people, and we never
Mhm.
had that many. But you're
Mhm.
right. We have had some extremely cold weather, and it's good that Westminster is doing it too, because I wasn't aware of that. I knew First and Central, and Sam because they're part of Friendship House was doing it. So this is good. The more organizations, the churches we have doing this, the better, because the increase is bad, that we're seeing. So I'm glad that people have a place to go that I wasn't aware of.
Well,
So,
actually, our volunteers work at SAM. So
oh, okay.
we staff Code Purple at SAM. We have
Oh, okay.
regular
Okay.
volunteers that go there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's perfect because I've, going there to volunteer to serve, to do serving, the beverages or whatever. And that's what made me think. It's like, oh my God, look at them, all those people just sitting out there. Why not use that opportunity? If there's enough volunteers to do this serving, to go out there and talk with them and meet them where they are and begin this dialogue about voting. And not everyone's going to be on board. Like Bill said, you're going to get some people, oh my God, well, I have these pressing issues. Well, I just will take the stance to remind them that we are here for you. And that's what drives the Poor People Campaign. We take your issues and turn them into demands and send them to our legislators and tell them that this is a problem and it needs to be fixed. So, we keep pushing.
There it is.
Sally, did you have something else?
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to figure out how to raise my hand.
Good.
Um, I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe it's too early to even do this, but when folks are trying to convey the message that it's so important to vote, would it be helpful to have some kind of summary of the programs that stand to be eliminated? Again, I'm not suggesting this. I'm just kind of wondering about it.
Oh no, I think that's an excellent idea because the slide or presentation I showed, that's from 2024. Already in 2025, what, 2 weeks in, has it been 3 weeks, whatever, into this current administration, we're already seeing a lot's going to be eliminated. So the effects that they felt in 2024 is going to be magnified 10 times more, right? So you're right. That needs to be brought to their attention. I'm not even sure if they're aware of the effects that's coming down the pipe right now.
It's terribly discouraging information.
Yeah, yes, it is. So maybe, even doing a PowerPoint presentation, like
Right.
Sue suggests, and then talking with them, have people going around, set up at different tables because they may have questions or they, may need emotional support, just to let them know we are there for them and we're listening. And this is,
Yeah.
so very good ideas.
Could even be handouts.
Yeah.
That could be on. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Bev, I think you've had your hand up. It's a little bitty hand in the corner. Maybe Mike hasn't been able to see it.
Yeah, I heard you say about having people register to vote, and in Pennsylvania, there's a place in Kensington where
Mhm.
it's a big epicenter for opiate addiction.
Yes.
And what they do there is a lot of people that go out and get high, they will lose their ID. And so they work really hard on trying to get people's ID, and then they keep a copy of it in their facility and
Mhm.
help them register to vote. And I was just wondering how that works for you. Do you have a registry of the homeless people in your area? And so they actually use Prevention Point's address as their address, even though they're
Mhm.
not living there. That's their place that they go for, you know, that's their
Yes.
center. That's their center of what keeps them living.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think again the Friendship House does a lot of that and they have a community center like right, in that same area too. Um that keep up with stuff like that for that population around Sam's.
That's a good question about keeping copies of the IDs, though, Bev.
Mm.
Oh, because they
I
lose.
wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
We could ask Friendship House if
Mm-hmm.
that's part of what they do.
Absolutely, because that's good. That would be good to know, for sure.
Well, and I
Uh,
just wonder if there were more places that in other places that know that they can set up that way, and I don't know what it takes to set up that way, that you might find more people included in voting.
no, that's a very good. I know. Thank goodness that Father Patrick, Reverend Patrick, from Sam, he's also on the Poor People's Campaign, and he's so involved with uh, you know, making sure that things are flowing for the unhoused community. He is, oh my goodness, he's a godsend. Love him to death. But so I'm sure you know, he gets the church really involved with helping too. So a lot of the volunteers are, from the church as well. And they're more than happy because that's a lot of his sermons are around, that as well. So, and that's why I'm a member of that church because you know, he's definitely speaking my language. I want to see a pastor or reverend out there talking to their congregation about, those with least of these, right? The ones that are unhoused and just, have so many needs. So you know, oh my God, he's more active than any pastor I have ever seen. They removed the benches from Sam. Did y'all hear about that? They had benches
Oh,
on the side
yes.
there.
Oh,
Oh my
yes.
God. And he's been going at them like I don't know what, the police, the police department, even up to the legislator, just constantly hounding them that they had no right to do that when they didn't know who owned those benches. But just because they, have those apartment high rises coming up, they want to make it appealing and they don't want to make it look unattractive because homeless people are sitting out there on the benches. It's just, but he's constantly at it, and he's not going to give up until those benches are put back there. I can tell you that.
Oh, they're still gone. Oh,
Yeah, they're still missing. Yeah, haven't put them back yet. So, I don't know. Are there any more hands before I continue to comment? I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Um, so I think if we do that, if we can come together, um, and help support that because there's a lot of talent out there too on your end. Even if we want to start gathering current information, pulling some of Project 2025, which I know I haven't read that whole thing. Um, Hopefully there's a Cliff Note version out there somewhere and where we can relate to the things that we are seeing already, right? And start to present that, and that can be our talking points as we're sitting now talking with people, because we have to make them understand the urgency of their votes. Again, when we were going around doing our canvassing, you know, people saying, "Oh, well, I don't trust the election. I'm not going to vote for either one. I'm not even going to vote." And my response always been, a no vote is a vote for the wrong candidate. So, you know,
Mhm.
Sally, you have your hand up again? Oops, you have to
I do, yeah.
okay.
I do have a summary that's about yay big of Project 2025. I didn't put it together, but it was somebody gave it to me during the campaign, so I'd
Wow.
be more than happy to copy that.
Would you? That would be
Sure.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
And maybe Sue, who's very good with PowerPoints, can help us put that
Mhm.
together.
Well, at a minimum, I could send it out to our distribution list, Sally. So if you want to
Mhm.
send that to me, I would be happy to do that.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I will do that. Again, I can't speak to its accuracy and whether it's picked up every single point, but it's enough to get folks' attention. That's for sure.
Yes. And that's what we need to get folks' attention. So
Well,
thank
the
you.
other thing that we are hopeful is that there has been a lot of change in elected leadership in Delaware. So we have
Yes.
a new mayor of Wilmington, we have a
That's
new
right.
governor, we have a new
Yes.
Newcastle County
Mhm.
commissioner. There are a lot of new representatives in the legislature. And
Yes.
so it's a very good time for us to make our voices
Hmm.
heard. I've already contacted our congressional representatives. I haven't done that in a long time.
Wow.
And I think it's important that those of us who have a commitment to this work and think, well, I don't need to contact my representative because I know she feels the same way I do. Or I don't need to contact my senators because I know they're going to vote the way that I want them to. And I think that's a mistake.
Yes.
I think it's important when we support a position that someone is taking, that we are as likely to comment about that as we
Yes,
are when we oppose a position. So I
that's
think
right.
each of us should get involved in email, phone calls, whatever, because silence isn't helpful in
Yeah,
situations like today.
Mhm.
Sally?
Well,
absolutely.
and I've even heard representatives of our delegations say they keep tabs on who's calling, so they know if they get a lot of yes calls, they know it's something that people care about.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Very
And
good
it's
point.
not hard. It is not hard.
No.
You just go to the US, congressional website, and you can pick
Hmm.
up your representative and enter your name and shoot off a message. And it doesn't take much time. Um,
No.
and so it's really essential, I think, that we both register against and for act steps that our state, local representatives are taking.
Yes. And that's why I love the way even how the Poor People Campaign do it on a national level. So that's why I know things are coming. They're coming and they're gonna come continuously. And they will give us even a script. And all you're doing is add, your name or whatever, but it's stated so well to get their attention. And as I get things like that, I don't mind. Well, Bill is in your group. He could share it as well.
Mhm.
But I think, like you said, get different organizations. We need everyone out there taking care of this and being concerned about all that's going on. And it's going to continue to go on.
Anyone else? Well, Cecilia, it was a pleasure to see you again
Likewise.
and hear the background and the energy that you have putting it
Thank you.
together, but also the work that you do on a monthly
Yes.
basis.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing you more often and working with
Yes.
you in the project of the Poor People's Campaign. So thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely. And just one last thing. So we're meeting monthly in the beginning, just because it's the beginning of the year. But as the year go on and more situations arise, we go to twice a month or whatever. So it's just the beginning because
Right.
we're waiting on national direction. So there's going to be a lot coming out to help guide us. And you have Bill there, like I said, who's a member of the Poor People Campaign.
Mhm.
He could share it. And I know he will because Bill is so passionate about everything that goes on with the Poor People Campaign as well.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Bill because he's been involved with the Poor People's Campaign in Delaware from the beginning and
Yes.
has been committed and relentless. And so, Bill, we will count on you to pass along opportunities for us to take some action. And we thank you for remaining committed to this work. Bill and Jane Palmer went to the event in DC last year. We hope more people will participate in the future. Um,
Yes.
and so we're very grateful and want you to know that, Bill. We know how important this has been to you, and as a consequence, how important you are to us. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And
All
thank you
right.
all for being here this evening. There's no shortage of
Yes.
work to be done for sure.
That's for sure.
But some of it doesn't take a whole lot of time and yet
Mhm.
has the potential to have a powerful impact, particularly as our voices are gathered together in
Yes.
support of a cause. So
That's right.
more to come. Thank you all.
Yes.
Very
Thank
good.
Thank
you for having
you,
me.
Cecilia.
Good
Thank
Thank
night.
you,
you all.
Good
Cecilia.
night, everybody.
Thanks, Cecilia. Good night,
Okay, bye.
everyone.
See ya.
Night.